It was supposed to be a simple flight for the Harris family, just a peaceful vacation after months of hard work. Evelyn Harris, her husband David, and their two young children, Mia and Joshua, arrived at the airport early that morning, their spirits high and hearts full of excitement. This vacation was more than a getaway. It was a long-awaited reward for their perseverance, a chance to reconnect as a family after months of long hours and late nights. The hustle and bustle of the airport was familiar to Evelyn. She had traveled often for work in the past, though those trips were rarely this joyous. Today, however, she wasn't Evelyn, the businesswoman. She was simply a mother and a wife, savoring the joy of spending time with her loved ones. Mia, their bright-eyed 6-year-old, clutched her stuffed bunny, a constant companion on every trip. Joshua, a curious 8-year-old, was already peppering David with questions about how airplanes worked. "Do they really fly above the clouds, Daddy? Can we see them?" David, ever patient, chuckled and promised that they'd have the best view from their seats. Their tickets were for first class, a treat Evelyn and David had decided to splurge on. It wasn't something they did often, but they wanted this trip to be special. As they approached the gate, Evelyn couldn't help but notice the glances. Some were fleeting, a quick look, then back to their phones or books. Others lingered, their eyes darting between Evelyn and David as if trying to make sense of what they were seeing. Evelyn knew what they were thinking. It wasn't the first time. A black family in first class. People always seemed to have questions, though they rarely voiced them aloud. "Mommy, why is that lady staring at us?" Mia's soft voice broke Evelyn's thoughts. She followed her daughter's gaze to an older woman sitting near the gate, her lips pursed in a tight line. "Some people are just curious, sweetheart," Evelyn replied gently. She leaned down to adjust Mia's bunny ears, a small gesture that brought a smile back to her daughter's face. David placed a comforting hand on Evelyn's shoulder. "Ignore them," he murmured. "This is our day. Nothing's going to ruin it." Evelyn nodded, grateful for his steady presence. They had faced challenges before, subtle and overt, and had always come through stronger. Today would be no different. At least, that's what she told herself. Underscore 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 on. When the boarding call came, the Harris family gathered their things and walked toward the gate. David carried their small carry-on bag, while Evelyn held Mia's hand and kept an eye on Joshua, who was bouncing with excitement. The gate agent scanned their boarding passes with a professional smile. "Enjoy your flight, Mr. and Mrs. Harris," she said. Evelyn appreciated the warmth in her tone. It was a small thing, but it made a difference. As they entered the plane, the air felt cooler, almost sterile. Evelyn loved the hum of the engines and the quiet efficiency of the crew preparing for takeoff. She guided Mia and Joshua to their seats near the front of the cabin. The plush seats and extra legroom were a welcome change from the cramped spaces they usually endured. "Wow! Look at this, Mommy!" Joshua exclaimed, running his hand over the smooth leather of the seat. "Careful, Josh," David said with a smile. "We're guests here, remember." The children settled in quickly. Evelyn helped Mia with her seat belt while David ensured Joshua's bag was stored safely in the overhead bin. It was a picture of calm, a family ready for an adventure. But then, Evelyn felt it again, those glances. This time, they were closer. From passengers already seated nearby. Disapproving. Curious. Judgmental. The kind of stares that made the hairs on the back of her neck stand up. Evelyn tried to ignore it, focusing on helping Mia tuck her blanket around her legs. She whispered a calming word to Joshua, who was busy trying to peer out the window. But the feeling was hard to shake. And then, she appeared. The flight attendant. Tall, blonde, and impeccably dressed in her crisp uniform, she exuded authority. Her name tag read Lisa. Her smile was polite, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Evelyn had seen that kind of smile before, a smile that said more in its absence than its presence. Lisa approached with a clipboard, her sharp heels clicking against the floor. She stopped beside their row, her eyes scanning the family with a quick flicker of hesitation. "First class?" Lisa asked, her tone dripping with skepticism. David straightened, his friendly demeanor unwavering. "Yes, these are our seats," he said, gesturing to the row. Lisa's smile grew tighter. She glanced at the boarding passes in Evelyn's hand. "Can I see those again?" Evelyn felt her chest tighten. She handed over the tickets, her expression calm but firm. Lisa inspected them for what felt like far too long, flipping them over as if searching for some hidden mistake. Finally, she handed them back with a curt nod. "Everything seems to be in order," she said, her tone clipped. "Enjoy your flight." Evelyn resisted the urge to roll her eyes. "Thank you," she replied, her voice measured. Lisa walked away, but not without a lingering glance over her shoulder. The tension was there, hanging like a storm cloud. Evelyn felt it in the air, in the subtle shift of energy whenever someone passed by their row. David leaned over, giving her hand a reassuring squeeze. "Let it go," he whispered. Evelyn nodded, though the knot in her stomach remained. They were used to this. The assumptions, the second glances, the unspoken questions. But today would not be like every other day. Today was different. Underscore 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 on. Joshua's chatter filled the silence as the plane began to fill. "Mommy, can we see the ocean when we're flying? Or is it too far away?" "We might see it," Evelyn replied with a smile. "If we're lucky." "Can I tell the pilot thank you for flying the plane?" Mia chimed in. David laughed softly. "Maybe when we land, sweetheart." The children's innocent excitement helped ease the weight in Evelyn's chest. She leaned back in her seat, closing her eyes for a moment. This was what mattered: their family, their happiness. Not the stares, not the whispers. As the plane's engines roared to life and the crew prepared for takeoff, Evelyn tried to focus on the adventure ahead. But a small voice in the back of her mind wouldn't let her fully relax. Something about today felt off. Evelyn opened her eyes and glanced down the aisle. Lisa was speaking to another flight attendant, her expression unreadable. Evelyn couldn't hear the words, but the way Lisa glanced toward their row made her stomach turn. "Is everything okay, Mommy?" Mia asked, tugging at her sleeve. "Yes, sweetie," Evelyn replied, forcing a smile. "Everything's fine." But deep down, she wasn't so sure. It didn't take long for the murmurs to start. The Harris family was barely settled into their seats when Evelyn noticed the first sideways glance. It came from a woman across the aisle, her eyes flitting over Evelyn and then David before she quickly looked away. Evelyn was used to these moments, silent judgments cloaked in politeness. But no matter how often they happened, they still stung. Next came the whispers. A man seated a row behind them leaned toward his companion, muttering something that Evelyn couldn't quite catch. She didn't need to hear it to know the tone. It was that same, familiar undercurrent of disbelief. A black family in first class. The unspoken question seemed to hang in the air. Evelyn tried to brush it off. She focused on her children, who were blissfully unaware of the tension. Mia was adjusting her bunny's ears, humming softly to herself, while Joshua was already flipping through the in-flight magazine, excitedly pointing out pictures of tropical beaches. David was helping Mia buckle her seatbelt when the flight attendant, Lisa, reappeared. Lisa's presence seemed to shift the air around them. Her movements were precise, almost mechanical, as she walked down the aisle. She paused beside their row, her eyes narrowing slightly as she took in the scene. "Excuse me," Lisa said sharply, leaning closer to David. Her voice carried just enough edge to draw the attention of nearby passengers. "This area is for first-class passengers only. Are you sure you're in the right place?" The words landed like a slap. Evelyn's breath caught, and her grip on Mia's hand tightened slightly. David, ever calm, met Lisa's gaze with a polite smile. "Yes, we're in the right place," he said evenly. "These are our assigned seats." Lisa's eyes flickered toward Evelyn, as if seeking confirmation. Without a word, Evelyn reached into her bag and pulled out their boarding passes, handing them over with a steady hand. Lisa took them, her expression unreadable, and studied the tickets as though they were written in a foreign language. The silence stretched uncomfortably long. Nearby passengers turned to watch, their curiosity palpable. Lisa flipped the tickets over, then back again, her scrutiny exaggerated. It was clear she wasn't looking for confirmation, she was looking for a reason to challenge them. Finally, Lisa handed the tickets back. Her smile was tight, forced, and far from genuine. "Everything seems to be in order," she said, her tone clipped. "Enjoy your flight." Evelyn held her composure, though the indignity burned. "Thank you," she replied, her voice calm but firm. Lisa hesitated, as if waiting for a reaction. When none came, she straightened and walked away, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. But Evelyn noticed the glance Lisa threw over her shoulder, her expression betraying a mix of annoyance and something else, something like distrust. Underscore 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 on. The moment passed, but its impact lingered. Evelyn could feel the weight of the passengers' stares, even as they pretended to return to their books, phones, or conversations. David leaned closer, his voice low. "Let it go," he murmured, his hand resting on hers. "I'm fine," Evelyn said, though the tightness in her chest told a different story. She turned her attention back to Mia, helping her adjust her blanket. "Are you comfortable, sweetheart?" Mia nodded, clutching her bunny tightly. "I'm okay, Mommy." Joshua, oblivious to the tension, grinned as he pointed to a picture of an airplane cockpit in the magazine. "Do you think the pilot will let me see this, Daddy?" David chuckled, ruffling Joshua's hair. "Maybe next time, buddy. Let's just enjoy the flight today." Evelyn smiled at their innocence. She didn't want her children to feel the weight of the world's judgments, not yet. But as much as she tried to focus on the joy of their trip, the unease lingered. Something about Lisa's demeanor had set her on edge. Underscore 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 on. The plane continued to fill with passengers, and the quiet hum of conversations grew louder. Evelyn noticed Lisa moving efficiently through the cabin, her polite smile firmly in place. But every so often, Evelyn caught Lisa glancing toward their row. Each time, Lisa's expression was neutral, too neutral, as if she were deliberately masking her thoughts. A short while later, Lisa returned, this time carrying a tray of pre-flight drinks. She handed them out with practiced ease, her smile warmer now as she greeted the other passengers. But when she reached the Harris family, her demeanor shifted. "Would you like something to drink?" Lisa asked, her voice polite but lacking the warmth she had shown others. "Water, please," Evelyn replied. She kept her tone neutral, refusing to let Lisa's attitude rattle her. David asked for water as well, and the children didn't request anything. Lisa handed them their cups, her movements brisk, then turned to leave without another word. Evelyn watched her go, her frustration mounting. It wasn't just the words Lisa had spoken earlier, it was the tone, the attitude, the subtle signals that said, "You don't belong here." Evelyn had experienced it before, but it never got easier. Underscore 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 on. As the plane prepared for takeoff, the tension seemed to fade, at least on the surface. Evelyn helped Mia adjust her headphones while David set up Joshua's tablet. For a brief moment, it felt like a normal family trip. But the peace was short-lived. A few rows behind them, Evelyn heard a voice loud enough to carry. "First class isn't what it used to be," the man muttered. He wasn't speaking to anyone in particular, but his words were pointed, deliberate. Evelyn didn't turn around. She didn't need to. The man's tone said everything she needed to know. David noticed, too. He shifted slightly in his seat, his expression tightening. "Ignore it," he said softly, more to himself than to Evelyn. Evelyn nodded, though her heart ached. She wanted to shield her children from moments like this, but how could she when they happened so often? Underscore 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 on. The flight attendant returned shortly after takeoff, her demeanor unchanged. This time, she leaned closer to Evelyn, her voice low but firm. "Mrs. Harris, I need to remind you to keep your children seated and quiet during the flight," Lisa said. Evelyn blinked, startled. "They are seated," she replied, her voice calm but edged with confusion. Lisa glanced at Mia, who was quietly flipping through a coloring book, and then at Joshua, who was watching a cartoon on his tablet. Neither child was making a sound. "It's just a reminder," Lisa said with a tight smile, straightening. "We've had issues with noise in first class before." Evelyn opened her mouth to respond, but David placed a hand on her arm. "It's fine," he said softly. Lisa lingered for a moment longer, then turned and walked away. Evelyn's hands clenched the armrests. The subtle digs, the thinly veiled warnings, it was all too familiar. But she stayed silent, for now. Underscore 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 on. The murmurs and side eyes continued throughout the flight, a constant undercurrent that Evelyn couldn't ignore. Every interaction with Lisa seemed to carry an unspoken message, a reminder that the Harris family was being watched, judged, scrutinized. For Evelyn, the trip was already tainted. But she refused to let it ruin their experience. She leaned over to David, her voice low but determined. "She's not going to get to me," she said. David smiled faintly, his admiration for her strength clear. "Good. Because she's not worth it?" But deep down, Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling that this was far from over. Something about Lisa's behavior felt personal, as if she were determined to find fault where there was none. Evelyn took a deep breath, resolving to stay composed. But as the flight continued, it became clear that Lisa wasn't done yet. The tension was building, and Evelyn knew it was only a matter of time before something gave. The engines roared as the plane ascended, a slight tilt pressing Evelyn back into her seat. She focused on the view outside, the clouds below stretching like an endless sea of white. It should have been a calming sight, a reminder that they were finally on their way to a much-needed vacation. But Evelyn's nerves were on edge. She could still feel the tension lingering in the cabin. Lisa's first snub came soon after takeoff. When the seatbelt sign dimmed and passengers began settling in, Evelyn noticed Lisa weaving through the rows with a tray of water. She stopped at every seat, smiling politely as she handed out glasses. When she reached their row, however, she breezed past without a word. Evelyn frowned, glancing at David, who was busy adjusting Joshua's headphones. "Did she skip us?" Evelyn whispered. David shrugged, his expression calm but knowing. "Maybe she'll come back." "She didn't." Underscore 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 on. As the flight progressed, the subtle slights became more apparent. Lisa seemed to avoid their row altogether, gliding past with her tray or clipboard as though the Harrises didn't exist. When Evelyn finally caught her attention and asked for a pillow for Mia, Lisa sighed loudly, making no effort to hide her irritation. The sound was so exaggerated that passengers nearby turned to look. "I'll see if there are any left," Lisa said curtly, already turning away. She returned several minutes later, tossing the pillow onto Evelyn's lap without a word. Evelyn bit her tongue, determined not to make a scene. The children, thankfully, were still enjoying themselves. Mia had nestled against Evelyn, her bunny tucked under her chin, while Joshua busily played a game on his tablet. Their quiet joy should have been unremarkable, but even this seemed to bother Lisa. When Mia and Joshua began playing a quiet game of I Spy, their soft giggles filled the space around them. It was harmless fun, innocent and unobtrusive, but Lisa appeared moments later, her expression icy. "You're being too loud," Lisa snapped, her voice low but sharp enough to cut through the children's laughter. The words hung in the air, heavy and unwelcome. Evelyn's hands clenched the armrest, her nails digging into the soft leather. David's jaw tightened, his eyes narrowing as he glanced at Lisa. "They're just playing," Evelyn said evenly, her voice calm but firm. "They're not disturbing anyone." Lisa's eyes flicked to the other passengers, as if seeking support. "We have rules about noise in first class," she said, her tone clipped. "This isn't a playground." The injustice of the moment burned in Evelyn's chest. She wanted to say something more, but David placed a hand on her arm, a silent plea for restraint. She nodded, exhaling slowly as Lisa walked away. Underscore 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 on. For a while, Evelyn sat in silence, her thoughts churning. She had dealt with prejudice before, but something about Lisa's behavior felt particularly calculated. It wasn't just the dismissiveness, it was the way she made it so obvious, so pointed, as though daring Evelyn to respond. But then, something unusual happened. Evelyn caught movement across the aisle, a man in a crisp navy suit leaning toward his colleague. He whispered something, his eyes briefly flicking toward the Harris family. His colleague, a younger man with glasses, glanced at them as well, then back at the businessman. He nodded, his expression thoughtful. Evelyn watched the exchange out of the corner of her eye, pretending to adjust Mia's blanket. The businessman didn't look hostile, if anything, his expression was one of quiet disapproval. But disapproval of what? Evelyn couldn't be sure. She decided to stay quiet and observe. Underscore 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 on. The atmosphere in the cabin grew heavier with every passing minute. Evelyn wasn't the only one noticing Lisa's behavior. A woman 2 rows ahead kept glancing back, her brow furrowed as if she, too, had picked up on the tension. Even one of the flight attendants from coach hesitated near their row, her posture uncertain. She seemed conflicted, as though she wanted to intervene but wasn't sure how. After a moment, she hurried away, her steps quick and purposeful. Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling that the tide was shifting. Lisa's veneer of professionalism was beginning to crack. Her movements were sharper now, less composed, as though the weight of her own hostility was wearing her down. The businessman across the aisle leaned over to whisper again, and this time Evelyn caught a few words, completely unprofessional, someone should say something. Evelyn's heart quickened. It was a small moment, but it felt significant. For so long, she had been conditioned to endure these slights in silence, to bear the weight of prejudice without protest. But now, others were beginning to notice. The spotlight was shifting, and it wasn't on her family anymore, it was on Lisa. Underscore 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 on. Despite the small signs of support, Evelyn couldn't fully relax. Lisa's presence loomed large, a constant reminder that the situation could escalate at any moment. Evelyn tried to focus on her children, who were now quietly watching a movie on the in-flight screen. David reached over and took her hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "We'll get through this," he said softly. Evelyn nodded, her resolve hardening. She wouldn't let Lisa ruin their trip. But as the flight continued, the cracks in Lisa's demeanor became impossible to ignore. It started with small mistakes. She fumbled with the drink cart, spilling a glass of water onto the floor. She snapped at a passenger who asked for an extra blanket, her tone uncharacteristically sharp. Each misstep drew more attention, and Evelyn could see the other passengers beginning to exchange glances. By the time Lisa returned to their row, her composure was visibly fraying. "Can I help you with something?" Evelyn asked, her tone pointed but polite. Lisa hesitated, her lips pressing into a thin line. "No," she said curtly, before walking away without another word. Evelyn watched her go, a strange mix of frustration and satisfaction bubbling in her chest. For the first time, Lisa seemed unsure of herself. And that, Evelyn realized, was a small victory. Underscore 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 on. The turning point came when Lisa made a mistake she couldn't ignore. A passenger 2 rows ahead, a middle-aged woman with a kind face, raised her hand to call Lisa over. When Lisa approached, the woman's voice was firm but measured. "I've been watching how you've treated that family," she said, nodding toward the Harrises. "And I have to say, it's not right." Lisa's expression froze. For a moment, she seemed genuinely startled. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I don't know what you're talking about." The woman raised an eyebrow. "Oh, I think you do. Ignoring their requests? Scolding the children for no reason? It's unprofessional, and frankly, it's unacceptable." The cabin grew quiet. Evelyn's heart pounded as she watched the scene unfold, unsure whether to feel relieved or nervous. Lisa's face flushed, her mask of composure slipping further. "I assure you, ma'am, I'm simply enforcing the rules," Lisa said, her voice tight. "Then enforce them equally," the woman shot back. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're singling them out." A ripple of agreement moved through the cabin. Several passengers nodded, and the businessman across the aisle exchanged a look with his colleague, his expression resolute. Lisa opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. She looked around, her confidence faltering as the weight of the passenger's judgment settled on her. Evelyn met Lisa's gaze for a brief moment. For the first time, Lisa looked away. Underscore 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 on. The atmosphere shifted after that. Lisa retreated to the galley, her presence noticeably absent for the next hour. The remaining flight attendants, perhaps sensing the shift in dynamics, were noticeably warmer toward the Harrises, offering them water and snacks without being asked. Evelyn felt a strange sense of relief. For so long, she had braced herself for the worst, expecting the burden of confrontation to fall on her shoulders. But now, for the first time, others had stepped in to shoulder the weight. As the plane continued its journey, Evelyn leaned back in her seat, her hand resting on Mia's head. The storm hadn't passed entirely. There was still tension in the air, still the possibility of further conflict. But for now, Evelyn allowed herself to breathe. The cracks in Lisa's demeanor had begun to show, and Evelyn had a feeling they wouldn't stop there. The flight had remained tense for hours. Lisa's absence after the earlier confrontation had been a relief, but it was short-lived. When she reappeared, her steps were sharp, her expression even colder than before. The weight of the passengers' disapproval seemed to have pushed her to the edge, and now, she was back determined to reclaim control. The children were dozing peacefully. Evelyn and David were quietly talking, their voices low, trying to focus on the excitement of their destination rather than the turbulence of the journey. But when Lisa stopped beside their row, they both stiffened. Lisa's voice cut through the cabin like a blade. "I'm sorry," she announced loudly, her words commanding attention. The murmur of conversations halted. Passengers turned in their seats, curiosity and unease flickering across their faces. "I've received complaints about your family disrupting the cabin. You'll need to leave the plane." For a moment, the world seemed to stop. Evelyn froze, her pulse racing. She glanced at David, whose jaw was clenched so tightly that the muscles in his neck were visible. Mia stirred beside her, rubbing her eyes as she woke from her nap. Joshua, still half asleep, looked up in confusion. Evelyn's voice was steady, though her heart pounded in her chest. "Complaints?" she asked, meeting Lisa's gaze. "From whom?" Lisa faltered for a split second, her confidence wavering. But she quickly recovered, squaring her shoulders. "Passengers have mentioned that your family has been noisy and disruptive. For the comfort of everyone on board, I'll need you to disembark at the next stop." The words were absurd. Evelyn's children had been quietly watching movies for the past hour. The so-called complaints had no basis, and everyone in the cabin knew it. David rose slowly from his seat, his tall frame towering over Lisa. His voice was calm, but there was an edge of steel in his tone. "You're making a mistake." Lisa blinked, momentarily taken aback. "Sir, I'm just doing my job." "No," David said firmly. "You're not. You're singling out my family for reasons we both know have nothing to do with noise." Lisa's composure faltered. She glanced nervously at the passengers now watching the exchange intently. The businessman from earlier sat with his arms crossed, his expression grim. The middle-aged woman who had confronted Lisa earlier shook her head in quiet disapproval. The murmurs began again, this time louder, as passengers whispered to one another. Before anyone could react further, a voice rang out from the cockpit. Calm, authoritative, and unmistakably familiar. "This is your captain speaking. I'd like to request that Lisa, our lead flight attendant, report to the front of the plane immediately." A hush fell over the cabin. Lisa blinked, confused. She opened her mouth as if to respond, but no words came out. With one last glance at Evelyn and David, she turned and hurried toward the front of the plane, her steps less confident than before. Underscore 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 on. The moment Lisa disappeared, the atmosphere shifted. The tension that had gripped the cabin seemed to ease, replaced by an electric sense of anticipation. Passengers exchanged looks, their curiosity piqued. Evelyn leaned closer to David, her voice a whisper. "What's happening?" David shook his head, his expression unreadable. "I'm not sure. But I think we're about to find out." Moments later, the businessman across the aisle stood up. He adjusted his tie, then turned to Evelyn and David with a small, knowing smile. "It's always nice to see you, Mrs. and Mr. Harris," he said warmly, his voice loud enough for the nearby passengers to hear. Evelyn's heart skipped a beat. She recognized him now, Jameson Green, a senior executive at Harris Aviation. He had attended several company events over the years, always polite and professional. But what was he doing on this flight? Jameson's words didn't go unnoticed. The whispers in the cabin grew louder. Passengers craned their necks to get a better look, their curiosity turning to confusion. "What's going on?" someone muttered. At the front of the plane, Lisa's voice echoed from the cockpit area. "What do you mean I need to explain myself? I was just following procedure." Her words were cut off by a firm, quiet response, too low for the passengers to hear. A moment later, the captain stepped into the cabin. He was a tall man with a calm, commanding presence, his uniform immaculate. His expression was grave as he addressed the passengers. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice steady, "it seems there has been a misunderstanding. Allow me to clarify, this flight is owned and operated by Harris Aviation, a company founded by the Harris family seated right here in first class." Gasps erupted throughout the cabin. The businessman across the aisle nodded in confirmation, his smile widening. Evelyn felt her cheeks flush, a mix of relief and embarrassment washing over her. She glanced at David, who gave her a small, reassuring smile. At the back of the cabin, Lisa reappeared, her face pale. She looked as though the wind had been knocked out of her. Her bravado was gone, replaced by a stunned silence as she processed the captain's words. "I'd like to personally apologize to the Harris family for any inconvenience they've experienced during this flight," the captain continued, his tone firm. "Our airline prides itself on treating all passengers with respect, and I assure you that this matter will be addressed immediately." The passengers erupted into murmurs again, but this time, the tone was different. Shock, awe, and a tinge of embarrassment rippled through the cabin. The middle-aged woman who had confronted Lisa earlier gave Evelyn a small nod of approval. The businessman leaned back in his seat, clearly satisfied with the turn of events. Underscore 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 on. Lisa, however, wasn't ready to back down completely. I didn't know," she stammered, her voice barely audible. "I was just following the rules." The captain held up a hand, silencing her. "You were out of line, Lisa. We'll discuss this further after the flight." Lisa's face crumpled, and she took a shaky step back. The passengers' eyes bore into her, their judgment unmistakable. For someone who had thrived on authority and control, the loss of both was devastatingly public. Evelyn felt a wave of vindication, though she didn't let it show. She kept her expression calm, her hands resting gently on Mia's shoulders. The last thing she wanted was to gloat or draw more attention to herself. The captain turned to the Harrises with a warm, apologetic smile. "Mr. and Mrs. Harris, on behalf of the entire crew, I'd like to thank you for your patience. If there's anything we can do to make the remainder of your flight more comfortable, please don't hesitate to let us know." David nodded, his voice steady. "Thank you, Captain. We appreciate it." The captain returned to the cockpit, and Lisa slinked away, her shoulders hunched. For the first time, Evelyn felt the weight of the tension lift. The cabin settled into a quiet buzz as passengers returned to their seats, their glances now tinged with admiration rather than judgment. underscore 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 on. As the plane continued its journey, Evelyn leaned back in her seat, her heart finally at ease. Mia was asleep again, her bunny tucked under her chin, and Joshua was engrossed in his tablet. David reached over, taking Evelyn's hand in his. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. Evelyn nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "I am now." It wasn't just the vindication that brought her peace, it was the realization that they weren't alone. In a world that often felt hostile, there were still people willing to stand up for what was right. And for today, that was enough. The silence in the cabin was thick as the plane prepared for its first scheduled stop. Lisa, the once confident flight attendant, now sat near the galley, her composure unraveling. She avoided eye contact with passengers, her hands fidgeting nervously. Every so often, she glanced toward Evelyn and David's row, her face pale and drawn. The tension was broken when the captain's voice came over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be landing shortly for our first stop. Please remain seated and ensure your seat belts are fastened." As the plane descended, Evelyn leaned over to David. "Do you think this is the end of it?" she whispered. David gave her hand a reassuring squeeze. "For us, maybe. For her." He glanced toward Lisa, who was trying and failing to maintain her composure. "I think her problems are just beginning." Underscore 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 on. When the plane touched down, the scene unfolded quickly. Security officers entered the cabin with quiet efficiency, their presence adding to the gravity of the situation. One of them approached Lisa, speaking to her in a low voice. The passengers watched in stunned silence as she stammered, her words a mixture of protests and apologies. "I didn't mean to, I was just doing my job," Lisa said, her voice trembling. "It was a misunderstanding." The officer remained calm. "Ma'am, we'll need you to step off the plane and discuss this further." Lisa hesitated, glancing around the cabin as though searching for support. But none came. The passengers who had once silently observed her behavior now looked at her with a mix of disapproval and pity. Some whispered to each other, their expressions ranging from shock to satisfaction. Evelyn sat quietly, watching the scene with a calm exterior. Inside, however, her emotions were more complicated. She didn't take pleasure in Lisa's humiliation, but she felt a deep sense of justice. For too long, people like Lisa had acted with impunity, believing they could treat others poorly without consequence. Today, that belief had been challenged. As Lisa was escorted off the plane, her protests grew louder. "This isn't fair. I didn't do anything wrong," she exclaimed, her voice cracking. But her words fell on deaf ears. The security officers guided her down the aisle, their movements firm but respectful. The cabin remained silent until Lisa disappeared from view. Then, as if on cue, a murmur of conversation spread through the passengers. Some shook their heads, others exchanged knowing glances, and a few even looked toward Evelyn and David with apologetic smiles. Underscore 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 on. The captain emerged from the cockpit shortly after, his expression apologetic but resolute. He approached Evelyn and David, bowing his head slightly as he spoke. "Mr. and Mrs. Harris," he began, his voice low but sincere. "I want to personally apologize for what happened today. This is not how we operate, and I assure you that steps will be taken to ensure this never happens again." David nodded, his demeanor gracious. "Thank you, Captain." We appreciate your handling of the situation. Evelyn, too, spoke with calmness. We're glad to hear that. Our hope is that this serves as a learning experience not just for her, but for the entire team. The captain's expression softened. It will. I'll make sure of it. He hesitated, then added, if there's anything we can do to make the rest of your flight more comfortable, please don't hesitate to let us know. Evelyn smiled faintly. We'll be fine, thank you. As the captain turned to address the rest of the passengers, Evelyn felt a sense of closure. The situation had been handled, justice had been served, and the flight could finally move forward. Underscore 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 on. The atmosphere in the cabin shifted noticeably. Passengers who had avoided eye contact with the Harrises earlier now offered kind smiles and polite nods. A few even went out of their way to apologize. One older gentleman leaned across the aisle, his expression earnest. I'm sorry for how you were treated, he said. It wasn't right. Evelyn acknowledged his words with a warm smile. Thank you. That means a lot. Another woman, the one who had confronted Lisa earlier, leaned over and said, you handled yourself with such grace. I'm not sure I could have done the same. It wasn't easy, Evelyn admitted, her voice soft. But sometimes, staying calm is the only way to make people see the truth. The businessman from earlier also approached, his demeanor respectful. Mrs. Harris, he said, extending a hand, I'll be reporting this directly to the board. This kind of behavior has no place in our company. Evelyn shook his hand, her gratitude evident. Thank you, Jameson. I trust you'll handle it appropriately. The man nodded. Absolutely. And please don't hesitate to let me know if there's anything else I can do. As he returned to his seat, Evelyn felt a sense of pride. She had worked hard to build Harris Aviation into a company that valued respect and integrity. Today's events had tested those values, but the outcome reaffirmed her belief that change was possible. Underscore 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 on. As the plane ascended once more, Evelyn leaned back in her seat, her hand resting lightly on Mia's head. The children had fallen asleep again, their peaceful faces a reminder of what truly mattered. David glanced at her, his expression a mixture of exhaustion and relief. You okay? He asked. She nodded. I am. I think we both are. David smiled, reaching for her hand. You were amazing back there. I'm proud of you. Evelyn chuckled softly. I think it was a team effort. But thank you. For the first time since the flight began, Evelyn allowed herself to relax. The weight that had pressed on her chest for hours was gone, replaced by a quiet sense of triumph. The journey wasn't just about reaching their destination, it was about standing up for themselves, for their family, and for the principles they believed in. Underscore 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 on. The remainder of the flight passed peacefully. The other flight attendants went out of their way to ensure the Harrises were comfortable, bringing them extra snacks and checking in regularly. Evelyn appreciated the gestures, though she made it clear that she wasn't looking for special treatment, just fairness. When the plane finally landed at their destination, the Harrises were among the first to disembark. As they walked through the terminal, several passengers stopped to thank them or offer words of support. Evelyn accepted each comment with grace, her heart swelling with gratitude. Outside, as they waited for their car, David turned to Evelyn with a thoughtful expression. Do you think she'll learn from this? Evelyn considered his question carefully. I hope so, she said finally. But even if she doesn't, I think we showed everyone else on that plane that kindness and respect matter. And sometimes, that's enough. David nodded, his hand resting on her shoulder. You're right. It is. As they climbed into the car, Evelyn glanced back at the terminal, the events of the day replaying in her mind. It had been a long and challenging journey, but one that had ultimately reaffirmed her faith in the power of justice and perseverance. With a deep breath, she turned her attention to the road ahead, ready to embrace the future with her family by her side. The plane cruised smoothly at 30,000 feet, the hum of the engines a steady reminder of their forward progress. The tension that had gripped the cabin for so long had dissipated, replaced by a sense of calm and quiet reflection. Evelyn sat back in her seat, her gaze fixed on the window as the golden hues of the setting sun painted the sky in streaks of orange and pink. The clouds below stretched endlessly, soft and serene, a stark contrast to the turmoil the Harris family had faced just hours before. Evelyn's thoughts drifted, as they often did, to the journey that had brought her and her family to this moment. It wasn't just about this flight or even this vacation. It was about everything they had overcome to claim their rightful place in the world. Underscore 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 on. Evelyn thought back to her childhood, to the lessons her parents had instilled in her. They had taught her to stand tall, to meet adversity with grace and strength, and to never let anyone make her feel less than she was. Those lessons had carried her through difficult times, through moments of doubt and struggle, when it seemed easier to shrink away than to stand up. And yet, here she was, living proof of what perseverance and dignity could achieve. She glanced over at David, who was quietly reading a book beside her. His calm demeanor had always been a source of comfort for her, a steady presence in the face of life's challenges. He caught her eye and smiled, reaching over to squeeze her hand. You're deep in thought, he said softly. Evelyn nodded, her voice reflective. I was just thinking about everything we've been through. Not just today, but all of it. The challenges, the judgments, and how far we've come. David gave her hand another squeeze. We've faced a lot, he agreed. But we've done it together. That's what matters. Underscore 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 on. Her gaze shifted to Mia and Joshua, who were now peacefully asleep. Mia's bunny was tucked under her chin, her small hand clutching the blanket, while Joshua's headphones had slipped down around his neck. Evelyn felt a swell of love and pride for her children. They were still young, still shielded from the harsher realities of the world, but she knew that wouldn't always be the case. Today's events had reminded her of the importance of teaching them the values she held dear: kindness, resilience, and the belief that they deserved every opportunity the world had to offer. She leaned over to adjust Mia's blanket, her movements tender, and whispered softly, "Never let anyone tell you you don't belong. Because you do. Always." Mia stirred slightly, a sleepy smile playing on her lips. Evelyn's heart swelled. If there was one thing she could give her children, it was the confidence to face the world with their heads held high. Underscore 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 on. As the sun dipped lower on the horizon, Evelyn's mind wandered back to the passengers on the plane. She had seen the worst and the best of humanity today. There had been judgment and prejudice, but there had also been support and kindness. The middle-aged woman who had spoken up, the businessman who had stepped in, and even the passengers who had quietly acknowledged their mistakes, they were reminders that, for every Lisa, there were people willing to stand for what was right. It was a humbling thought, and it filled Evelyn with hope. Change, she realized, didn't always happen in sweeping gestures or grand speeches. Sometimes, it was in the small moments, the quiet nods, the whispered apologies, the courage of a single voice speaking out. Those moments, strung together, had the power to shift the tide. Underscore 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 on. Evelyn's thoughts turned to Lisa. She wondered what would become of her. Would this experience prompt reflection? Would it challenge her to confront her biases and grow? Evelyn hoped so. As much as Lisa's actions had hurt, Evelyn knew that real change required understanding and accountability. Lisa's humiliation had been a consequence of her own behavior, but Evelyn didn't wish for her downfall. She wished for her transformation. David must have sensed her thoughts. "Do you think she'll learn from this?" he asked, echoing the question he'd posed earlier. Evelyn took a moment to respond. "I hope so," she said finally. "She's been given a lesson today. What she does with it is up to her." David nodded. "I think the fact that people stood up to her will make a difference. She saw that she couldn't get away with it." "That's true," Evelyn agreed. "And maybe, just maybe, it'll make her think twice the next time she's in a position to make someone feel small." Underscore 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 on. The captain's voice came over the intercom, announcing that the plane was nearing its final destination. The passengers began to stir, gathering their belongings and preparing for landing. Evelyn felt a sense of closure as the plane began its descent. This journey, though fraught with challenges, had reinforced her belief in the importance of standing tall and remaining true to one's values. As the plane touched down, the golden glow of the setting sun bathed the runway in light. It was a fitting end to the day, a reminder that even after the darkest storms, the sun always rose again. Underscore 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 on. The family disembarked the plane, their steps light as they made their way through the terminal. The events of the flight were already beginning to fade into the background, replaced by the excitement of the days ahead. Evelyn looked at her children, who were now wide-eyed with anticipation, and felt a deep sense of gratitude. They had faced adversity and emerged stronger. They had seen injustice and witnessed justice. And through it all, they had remained a family united, resilient, and full of love. As they stepped out into the warm evening air, Evelyn took a deep breath, her heart full. The road ahead was bright, and she was ready to embrace it, one step at a time. For her family. For their future. For the belief that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they belonged. Always.